happening, my beautiful people? My name is Mike LaBelle, and welcome to the Icon Guide. At least the icons that you want to pass on purchasing. Not worth your time, not worth your money, not worth your investment. If you enjoy the content, make sure to drop a thumbs up. This takes a decent amount of time. There are 74 icons in FIFA 19, and there are 266 iterations of those 74 icons. When you got the baby version, the middle, the prime, and also the prime moments, or the prime plus, however you guys would like to frame that. And the way that I see icons, there are 3 tiers. You can call this Mike's tiers, and I'm hoping there's a graphic on screen. But of course, we're gonna start with the top tier, which is a very small grouping of those 74 icons. I'm talking maybe 10 players fall into this category total. You see them frequently used at pro events, and for example, no spoilers in the video, you wouldn't expect these guys to be no-goes, but a Ruud Van Nistelrooy, a Patrick Vieri, a Eusebio, or an R9, these guys fall into that top tier. It's a very elite tier, and these cards are never cheap, and these guys are likely to also be the best at their position. If you have them, they're not coming off the bench, they're gonna impact matches, they're gonna be a difference maker. Your opponent might feel the fear, be disappointed going into the game when he gets a preview of your team. He's thinking, how am I going to beat this matchup? How am I going to defend against some of these attackers? How am I going to get past these fullbacks or these center backs? More so on the center backs when you're looking at icons. Actually, with top tier, definitely the center backs when you're looking at icons. Next, you have the middle tier, and this is where the majority of icons are placed, or they're found, or the category that they fall into. I would actually say 40 plus icons are going to be in this middle tier zone, give or take. At the end of the day, these are sort of subjective, which players you put in which category, but in my mind, at least 40 icons are very clear cut to be middle tier icons, which means they're usable, you can appreciate them, but they're not gonna be in that top tier, and they're also not in the lower tier, which is my last tier that I'm gonna talk about. And anybody in the lower tier, not worth it. Too expensive, bad value points. And when I'm analyzing the lower tier icons, I'm not looking at just one iteration. I'm taking the icon as a whole. So it's very important that you understand that as criteria, and also substance that plays into the video in terms of how I'm judging some of these icons. So basically, we're not looking at one iteration that's no good. We want to make sure as an icon grouping between all those iterations that this icon is kind of a pass, should be a skip, whether it's his prime version, his middle. I want to make sure that at least half the iterations issued to that singular icon are not really a good look. They're going to be kind of suspect. You should leave them off the team. You with me? Are you seeing the same picture? For example, we can all agree that Ruud Van Nistelrooy, his middle card, amazing. Prime, ooh, prime moments, absolutely gonna kill the game. However, his baby card's not as good. I wouldn't say this baby card would be low tier, it'd still be mid tier. But the point I'm making, I'm not gonna take the worst iteration that might not be at the highest tier for an icon and say, no, I don't like this card. I'm looking to incorporate the overall picture of that icon. I hope that makes a lot of sense. If not, you're gonna see graphics all over the screen to make sure that my words connect. It would be appreciated if you drop some comments, because we're gonna go into a lot of depth here, and it helps me build out content via this channel. What do you think about icons? Who do you have in what tiers? Do you maybe have a different tier breakdown? I like tiers. I like stats. I'm with it. I gotta pose the question, who are lower tier icons for you? So these are guys you need to pass on, not usable. There might be another player that's not an icon that's just way better value. First icon on the list, not a good list either, is Inzaghi. And he's one of the few icons where every single iteration, I don't like them. They don't work. I've used his prime moments version multiple times now in drafts, and he's best used as a player to start to get chemistry and then to sub him out immediately for someone better on your bench. And that's not what should ever be going through your mind when you're debating if you want to pick up an icon card. It's a good purchase. Even on paper, his stats just don't even seem like they add up. He's just not a complete striker, and you're gonna see this theme. He's not a great passer, he's not the fastest, his stamina's kind of low, he's got a 3-star weak foot, he's got 3-star skill moves. What sets him apart from the pack? Next up, we've got the main man, JJ. And I want him to be fantastic. I love 5-star skillers. I appreciate incorporating them into my squads. Some of my best highlight mixes and best gameplay that you're gonna see on stream is typically via some of the 5-star skill move junkies. What I can do with Mahrez on the pitch, I compliment myself on a constant basis. I pat myself on the back. However, something's missing with JJ. All of his FUT items have under 80 for finishing or 75 and under for stamina. So you're kind of looking at an icon super sub, and even with those silky skills, he just doesn't feel that crisp. Sound like I'm advertising for cereal here. Vieri suffers from similar symptoms to what we saw with Inzaghi. Doesn't have the skills, a bit clunky, below average passer, and low agility. Regardless of the card, it's going to be somewhere between a 59 and a 62 for agility. You can't have that as a striker. I need him to be able to turn left and right. That's not going to work. Where is my creativity going to come from? Vieri is missing something to signify him as special. This one hurts my heart, and I told you it's going to be a theme, but Miroslav Klose is another icon. It's going to be difficult to use. You can make an argument if you whip in a bunch of crosses that he's going to be an effective striker, but you could make that argument towards a lot of players this year. If you want to whip in back post crosses, is Klose the best in the game? Is he one of the best in the game? I don't know. Yes, he can finish it. He'll get to it. He'll climb the wall. He'll climb the ladder. He'll jump off the cliff. He'll go for it. But does that justify his price point? And I'm talking about any iteration of this card. That's more of my argument with Miroslav. There are better options to do what he's best at least in FIFA. It's the same story, sort of clunky, 3-star skills, not a versatile passer, just not a complete center forward. And this is EA and FIFA that do this, where they make center forwards your classic hold up play, target men, and they don't give them the attributes that are necessary for them to be successful at the highest levels in an installment. And when you're looking at icons in particular, they're just not cheap. Back to the defense. Nesta. I love this guy in real life. I think he's terrible in FIFA. One of the worst defending icons that you could pick up. I would take Ramos over Nesta. I would take Varane over Nesta. I'd take Virgil van Dijk over Nesta. It doesn't matter which iteration. I would rather have the base level gold cards that cost a fraction of the price in my starting 11. I would take Chiellini, I would take Koulibaly, might even take Toby from Tottenham, take Sanchez from Tottenham, Kyle Walker, center back edition. Sure, why not? The point is there's so many players that are better than Nesta in FIFA 19 that are just gonna cost you a fraction and they're baseline cards. Nesta has 32 agility. It's gonna get shook off the pitch. As a massive Premier League supporter, I want Alan Shearer to be Alan Shearer. What we got to see in real life. Goal scoring machine. But he's not built like that in FIFA. 2-star skill moves, 3-star weak foot. And he has that common trend. Not agile or fast enough. Can't facilitate properly at the higher levels. He's just incomplete. And you need him to be everything if he's competing to play as your main striker, or even if you have a pair as one of your main strikers, because he's not going to be versatile enough to play as a winger, to play as a center attacking mid. Forget about it. I still salute you, Alan. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but Van Basten doesn't have the skill moves, doesn't have the stamina, can't pass the ball properly. You're going to have too many unforced errors. If you're playing FIFA at a high level, you can't afford to have unforced errors. I know Van Basten has mid-80s agility, but I don't feel that. I've used that card mid-70s at best. He's not going to turn or have that quick step that you're expecting with someone who has mid-80s agility. 53 aggression. What? Ryan Giggs. He's not going to be dynamic, hard to be creative with, doesn't have the skills, doesn't have the weak foot. You start looking predictable in these streets. Also, he has big time shot power issues. He's not going to generate the kind of oomph that you need when you cut inside, especially in FIFA 19 where you want to have first time shooting, maybe even first time finesse shots. You got to challenge the goalkeeper. You need someone who's reliable. Giggs ain't that. Even his prime moments card is a letdown. I've used him multiple times in a draft and felt similar to Inzaghi where I was like, I got to sub this guy out. I got better options. Take a seat on the bench. He's simply too one-dimensional. I'm aware, another striker, and I'd have Ruud Van Nistelrooy in my top 5 Premier League strikers of all time, I think. People that make that argument for me just off the top, Alan Shearer, Thierry Henry, Cole, Ruud Van Nistelrooy, Aguero. Did I say Drogba? Drogba's got to be in there. Who am I missing from that argument? I feel like I'm missing a couple names. Please don't kill me in the comments. I know how passionate everyone gets. But yeah, Ruud Van Nistelrooy, low agility, doesn't have the passing, doesn't have the skill moves. You're limited. Stamina is not good enough. I really hope next year we get the introduction of Didier Drogba and that they do not ruin his card by giving him this classic center forward statistical mashup that just is not effective in FIFA installments. Last up, we've got Laudrup. Kind of fits into this tweener role. Should you play him as a winger? Should you play him as a striker, a center attacking mid? And he just doesn't get the job done. Statistically, he looks like he could be good, or he should be good, at least fall into the mid-tier category. But he's never done the job for me. He's missing that icon sauce. He's 6 foot, but he just doesn't feel it. He's not strong. He doesn't have a presence on the pitch. Has some issues with stamina, and his shooting just feels like he has a purse in his hand at times. If you use Laudrup, try to get a discount, shopping tip on an icon, you probably regretted it. It just doesn't show up and show out in the way that you would expect an icon to do, especially if you had that mid-tier expectation, maybe even thinking he could be an upper tier, that he could grow into the game for you. I would rather use Son over Laudrup. That's not a good sign. Anyways, if you enjoyed the content, make sure to drop some love on the video. It is free to subscribe. I'm happy to have you. My name is Mike LaBelle. Let's talk about everything in the comments. Went over a lot of details with icons. I want to see what you're talking about. Some of your worst icon experiences, whether it's an overall player with all these releases or it's a certain individual foot item. For example, the baby version of Petite isn't great. But I'll have a lot more content coming for you ASAP.